Hey, it's Theo and thank you for joining me. Today I wanted to go over the new loader decks that are coming with the Starcraft Mini-Set. Now these loader decks you get if you are a new or returning player. What does that mean? For new players it means that you have to complete the apprentice track, and a returning player means you haven't logged into the game for 90 days, and you can do that multiple times. So you can not log in for 90 days, get a new deck, then not log in for another 90 days and get another new deck. Also good to know is that in 2 months a lot of cards will rotate the rotation with the next expansion. So a bunch of these decks will be missing some key cards. So I'll be considering that as well when judging these decks. And other than that, I'll be judging the decks, of course, by how much dust they have, how good the decks are on ladder, and if you maybe can build other decks pretty easily with them as well. So let's get started with the first deck, and it's a Frost Starship deck. I'm not really sure. I've never seen this on ladder. It's a really weird one. I don't think this deck is very good to pick. And maybe that has a lot of dust then. Nope, it does not. The only legendary this has that isn't free, because the X-Star you can get for free, is a Reska, and that card is going to rotate in 2 months. So yeah, that's the only thing you get for this basically. You also get Guiding Figure as an epic, which is nice, but yeah, Starship Death Knight is not really a great thing. And especially not this deck. So yeah, this is easily the worst deck, and yeah, just never pick this deck. It's just not worth it. Then the second deck we have here is the Discover Hunter. It's the aggro version. I've played a lot of the slower version of it, which I really enjoy, but the aggro version is kind of just better in terms of win rate, so it makes sense they put it here. And yeah, it's a pretty good pick. It's a strong deck. And yeah, also the cards in it, there's a bunch of legendaries that are pretty useful. First of all, we got the Ziliax, which of course is still like the best legendary in the game, so that's great to have here if you don't have him yet. And we also have Aggro, which is a really strong legendary in basically any hunter deck, but it's going to rotate in 2 months as well. So, well, great for those 2 months. Yeah, after that, not too useful other than for dust. We also got the Grifta, which is, really great legendary to have. It goes in a bunch of decks. And yeah, just a good one overall. We got Gorgon Zorbu as another legendary, but this one is free, so not a good reason to pick this deck. And if you don't have this card, usually that means those 3 legendaries that you can't craft, you can get through achievements. I made a video on that as well. But I think you get this card if you have like 30 cards collected of the Perils of Paradise set. The other legendary we got is Noyel, and yeah, this card is extremely strong. And yeah, key of course to a Discover Hunter, so it's a pretty good card to have, although of course it's only Hunter. And the one epic in this deck is Parallax Cannon. It's alright, it's not quite needed, but it's just nice to have. And then the next deck we have is the Elemental Mage, and even though this deck got nerfed before, it's still really strong. However, I probably wouldn't pick it because yeah, the only legendary this deck has is a Severoon. I'd say it's not even quite needed. You need it in the slower matchups, but in faster matchups, of course, it's not playable at all. And yeah, you can just easily craft this deck if you want to play it, and then pick one of the other decks. And the next deck we have here is the Libram Paladin. Well, it may not be a tier 1. It's certainly playable and pretty popular. So yeah, let's go over the cards here again. What legendaries do we have? First of all, we got Sunset by Lynessa. So yeah, this card is pretty strong. It's played in this deck. It's played in well, Lynessa Paladin, obviously, where yeah, you need this to do the OTK. So yeah, really good card if you want to play these 2 decks. The next one is Sankazel, and also a good Paladin legendary, also played multiple decks. So yeah, if you're interested in Paladin, another good card to have as legendary. And then the epics this deck has is the Living Horizon, but it's gonna rotate though. Yeah, it's quite a strong card to have. And the other one is Libra of Divinity. Well, obviously you need this in the Libram deck, but yeah, doesn't really get used in any other deck. So I'd say overall, yeah, with these 2 legendaries, it can be a pretty solid choice if you're looking to mostly play Paladin. And as 5th deck we have is the Asteroid Shaman, and yeah, if you start playing again, you'll probably be seeing this deck a lot. It's one of these most popular decks on the climb to Legend, and that's for good reason, because it's a pretty good deck, and it can have some pretty crazy turns with hugely upgraded asteroids, but because of the Blight Behemoth and the Incendious Eruptions as well. And yeah, Incendious is one of those cards that's really great to have. Like, it goes right now into a lot of decks, partly because of the synergy with the Hero Oracle. Although this card is gonna get nerfed, so remains to be seen how good this card will be, because it will be 4 mana. Although at time of recording, it's still at 3 mana. But yeah, Incendious probably still going to be good in a bunch of decks. We also got Shadow Block, which is overall a pretty good legendary for Shaman, although it doesn't get played in every deck. And they're not in the best Shaman deck right now, but it's pretty good. And you never know in the future, this is one of those cards that could suddenly just be in the best deck if it gets the right support. And the last legendary we got here is Gorgonev. And yeah, this card is really strong in basically any Shaman deck. But it's just like all the other titans. It's going to rotate in 2 months, so you only get limited use out of it. But yeah, really strong card for those 2 months. And you might think, I said last legendary, yeah, there's Stelnos, but this is core set, so this is just a free one, so not really worth considering when choosing your deck. And the one epic this deck has is the Light Beam. Yeah, you need it in this deck, obviously, for the asteroids, but outside of Asteroid Shaman, this does not see play. And then as the last deck we have is the Odyn Warrior, and this is the deck with the most legendaries. First of all, we got the only deck with the Ceaseless Expanse, and yeah, this is a really strong card if you ever want to be playing slower decks. You're gonna put this card in, and it even gets played in some faster decks that are shuffling a bunch of stuff, because that reduces this card very quickly. So this is great overall to have. Another card that is great to have is the Zilliax. I'm surprised there's only 2 Zilliaxes in this these 6 loner decks, because the last time we had, every deck had the Zilliax, but I guess it got nerfed a few times. The Zilliax never got nerfed, so it's still as good as ever. Another legendary we got here is Odyn, and yeah, it's pretty needed for an Odyn Warrior deck, but again, like some other cards, it's gonna rotate in 2 months, so again, a limited use of it. Then the 4th legendary we got is Ham the Hungry, and yeah, this feels like it's gonna be kind of needed for the next year for Warrior if you want to play any type of slow Warrior deck, because those Druid cards you get are just way too good, especially New Heights, which is also an epic. Yeah, every slower deck will want to have this card. It's just so good, and you also get to play Sleep Under the Stars, and again, even though it got nerfed, it's still a pretty good card to have. And that is it for the free legendaries and epics you get with this deck, because again, Ignis is a free legendary you get, and also the Bladestorm, of course, is part of the core set, so free for everyone. And how good is this deck, you may ask? Well, I don't think Odyn Warrior is very strong at the moment. It's better than Death Knight, because yeah, that's not even a real deck, I'd say. But yeah, it's a lot worse than all the other decks you can choose here. But yeah, it does have those legendaries to make up for it. And although it might be one of the worst decks of these 6, it still has about a 50% win rate from the Diamond to Legend, so it's not that terrible to climb with. So those are the 6 loner decks you can play for free for a week. But which one do you choose at the end? Well, the 2 to avoid, first of all, are of course the Death Knight, Frost Starship. It's not a real deck. It has 1 legendary that's going to rotate soon, so never pick that. Same with the Mage, there's 1 legendary that only goes in that deck, and yeah, it's just not really worth picking this one when it's way better to just craft the whole deck yourself. It's because it's just really cheap. And the next 2 options are the Libram Paladin and the Asteroid Shaman, and yeah, they both could be options if you're looking to play either a lot of Shaman or a lot of Paladin. They both have 2 good legendaries, so yeah, if you're interested in one of those decks, it could be a fine pick. So then the best of picks, I think, are the Warrior and the Hunter. Now they both have the most legendaries compared to the other lists that are useful. They both got 2 legendaries that go into a lot of decks, like Zilliax and Ceaseless in Warrior, and Grifta and Zilliax in the Hunter. Hunter overall has a lot better win rate though, and yeah, pretty good pick if you're just looking to pick a good deck, but then also have a bunch of legendaries to go with it that you can use in a bunch of decks. Warrior is the best choice if you're just looking at dust value, like maybe if you don't want to play any of these 6 decks, you want to craft something else, or you're looking to play like slower decks, so you're getting then Ceaseless and Zilliax, so picking Warrior then might be the best choice for you. So those are my thoughts about these loner decks. Please let me know in the comments down below which one of these 6 you picked. If this video was helpful, make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and until next time.